The Leica M7 is the one and only analog Leica rangefinder camera with automatic shutter ever produced, and it was made between 2002 and 2018. There's two questions, of course. Number one, is the automatic a blessing or a curse? And number two, should you maybe look for one of these instead of an M6 on the used market today? I'm Thomas, and I'm super thrilled again to find out more about this thing. Let's have a go. I'm not going to tell you the whole history of the Leica M system again. It has been told so many times. Also, don't forget to watch my Leica M6 videos somewhere here. Suffice to say that it all started in 1954 with the mighty Leica M3, and this iconic design came to fruition. And then the next big step arguably was in 1984 with the M6, where they added the TTL light metering in this iconic body style. And then it took another 18 years until they came with the automatic shutter that is in the M7 in 2002. This camera was produced until 2018. They made around 28,000 of them, so it wasn't the strongest seller. So it's kind of a fun fact that Leica back in the day actually thought that the M7 could be the successor to the M6, but history told them otherwise. In your hand, this is very much like any other Leica M, analog Leica M camera. You've got this beautiful rangefinder design. These two are to show you the distance and the frame, and this beautiful little opaque window is to give light to the frame lines. That's the one missing in the newest digital models, and it kind of ruins the design if they leave it away. And apart from that, there is another thing you have to notice: the M7 and also the M6 TTL that came just before the M7. They are a little bit taller. You can see it when you're looking very closely. You see these silvered frame edges here, top and bottom, and they are missing or very much smaller in the older models. And that's because they had to find some space to accommodate the added electronics. Everything is classic Leica M. You see that this flash hot shoe has a lot of electrical contacts. That's because it's TTL, only in the M7 and in the M6 TTL again. And of course, you've got this larger shutter speed dial. The M6 TTL also has that. The cool thing is, if you hold the camera on your eye can operate the shutter speed dial. And also, the speeds are the other way around compared to older models. That means when you look into the viewfinder and you're in manual mode, there are two arrows that indicate if you're over or underexposing, and you just have to turn the dial in the direction of the arrow. That's very cool. But of course, the M7, you can just put it on auto because it's an automatic shutter. The longest shutter time is about 30 seconds, so it's also good for night shots. There's nothing else you have to know. If you know a Leica M camera, you know this as well. This is your frame selector, 3 settings. This little thing you need to rewind your film, which you do here. This camera has a nice soft button on it. I think most Leica M's these days have some custom buttons here, or some people put in this thumbs up thing if it's a digital camera. And noticeable, the ISO setting is here. It's also got a DX setting, but people say it's not really always that reliable. So I have it manually set, and if you push this button and turn the dial, see, you can also dial in correction, exposure correction. It's a neat design, and it goes back to the classic days when this was just a reminder and cameras didn't have exposure meters yet. And of course, it's a bottom loader. As you see, it still has the protective tape on it. Doesn't look nice, but it's very original. But you can, of course, take it off. Here is your lens mount, classic Leica M lens mount. If camera would be wound, then you see this white dot inside shutter on the first shutter curtain, and that's where it takes the light metering from. So there's a little cell, turns towards the dot, so you got a very, very strong center-weighted metering. The outside of the frame is not really metered. And that's all you need to know about the Leica M7. One thing that the M7 has, of course, because it's electronic, it's got an on-off switch. Now you see the red dot, it's off, and also the shutter button is locked. Now you could take a picture. The lock makes sense because if you put the camera in your back or something, there's no risk of triggering the shutter if you don't want to. Very nice design. One thing also the M7 has in common with all the other M cameras is the viewfinder. It's a beautiful rangefinder, as good as rangefinders get. They say it has been a little bit uprated over the older M6 models, also in the M6 TTL in '98. So it's a very, very clear and bright image. And it's of course got these famous pairs of frame lines. So whatever lens you're shooting, you will see a set of two frame lines at the same time, 28-90 or 50-75. Or 35-135. I wouldn't recommend to shoot a 135mm lens with any Leica M camera, but yes, you can do so because the frame lines are tiny. With the 50mm lens, it's actually like, I think, the sweet spot. The rangefinder magnification is 0.72 in the standard model, like in this one, but the M7 was also available with a 0.58 viewfinder. Very good if you want to shoot wide angle. Or with a 0.85, which is perfect if you want to shoot 50, maybe even better than this one. So overall, a very, very smooth rangefinder experience. And also what I like is that this camera displays the shutter speed. Of course, it's an auto shutter. So you see the shutter speed displayed in the viewfinder, and they did it very, very neatly. It looks just brilliant. It has an 80s retro vibe to it, but it's also just beautifully and clear. The lens I'm shooting today, it's the Folklander 50mm f1.5. It's not a Leica lens, but I know that many of you guys shooting Leica M cameras also love to shoot third-party lenses, and that's one of the great strengths of the Leica M system, that you've got such a great lens choice. The system is well alive, and many companies make awesome lenses for it, in contrast to any other analog 35mm camera system. All others are out of production, and you always have only to go to the used market, not with Leica M. And by the way, I did shoot the Leica Summicron 50mm f2 lens in my M6 video. So if you want to see pictures taken with that lens, then have a look at that video. Shooting this camera is really a joy. So yeah, it offers all the convenience of the Leica M6, this beautiful, clear, bright rangefinder, which is arguably the best ever. I only don't like the double frame lines, but yeah, every other Leica M photographer is used to that. But it also offers this added convenience of the auto exposure. And believe me, that's just a small thing, but I love mechanical cameras, don't get me wrong, but it's just so nice to sort of point and shoot and focus and nothing else. I do love auto shutters. It's really, really nice. Also, picture yourself being traveling with your family, with your husband, your spouse, your kids, whatever. You're just a little bit faster, and everyone will appreciate that. So if everything works, this is a gorgeous camera to shoot. And that's maybe one of the reasons you have to keep in mind to get one. One thing I already find a little bit limiting in this weather. Today I'm shooting Portra 160, and this camera is limited to 1,000th of a second shutter time, and I can't use open aperture. Okay, there's one thing I don't really like that much. You see in the viewfinder, there's the display of the shutter speed selected, and you see this blinking dot there. And well, the only reason that it's blinking is to show to you that you didn't use the X coding of the film, but set your ISO manually. Well, that's a bit, I don't know. I find it a bit annoying. And also there's no indication if you now over or underexpose your picture. If you use the exposure compensation, you don't see that because it's already blinking because of not using the X code. That's one of these little annoyances where I have the feeling that Leica, despite taking that long time to develop a camera like this, still didn't think it out to the very end. Now comes the part, is this a camera that's really worth to buy today? There is one thing you have to know, Leica M7s can have some issues. It's about electronics. Of course, you guessed it maybe already. For example, the DX coding can fail. So Leica actually modified it back in the day, but I've read from people in fora that even the new version can fail. Of course, you can work around by just setting ISO manually, so that's not a big thing. Electronics can fail in general. The good thing is, by the way, also when the battery is drained, this camera offers 2 mechanical times, which is 1/60th of a second and 1/25th of a second. That's good. But of course, if electronics fail, that's not so good. And last not least, batteries are known to drain sometimes, not in every camera. Originally, Leica specified that in normal use, the set of batteries would last 2 years, but some people say their batteries are drained after 20 films. Go figure. Leica repairs and services these cameras. So if buying a used M7 today, I would actually recommend to buy it from a reputable Leica dealer. Then it comes maybe with some sort of warranty and you are trouble-free for some time. And part of that, you have to value for yourself if the added convenience and the nice shooting experience over the M6 with the automatic shutter is worth it. Actually, there's not that many rangefinder cameras that have an automatic shutter. There's no rangefinder camera that where you can interchange your lenses that has automatic aperture control. That's because of the lens mounts, because there's only the LTM mount and then the Leica M mount, and they're both purely mechanical. But with automatic shutter, there's also not that many options. The ones that came to mind to me are the Zeiss Econ ZM, and the Voigtlander cameras like R2A, R3A, etc. And then, of course, the Konica Hexa RF. And arguably, the Konica is a fantastic camera because its shutter runs all the way to a 4,000th of a second. It's a super fast shutter, 250 flash synchronization. It's like a Nikon FM or FE2. And shooting in sunlight today, I find this 1,000th of a second limiting. Now, all the old cameras also have that, and then I never complain. But again, we are looking at something from 2002, which is 3,000 euros used. And then I find the shutter time limiting. The problem with the Konica is it's also electronic. It also has a lot of problems. They can also fail in brick, and no one wants to repair them. Go figure. Time for the verdict. And as you can tell, I actually enjoy shooting this camera a lot, so I think the verdict will be in 2 parts. The first is the shooting experience. If you've got a Leica M7, arguably it's the most convenient and also maybe the most beautiful Leica rangefinder to shoot of them all. I also love that if you're in manual mode, you have this nice large shutter speed dial that turns in the right direction and you can turn it like this. Awesome. But you will have it in auto most of the time. Also, the exposure correction is kind of easy to set up. Everything works very smoothly. and you're fast, and it just is the perfection of rangefinder shooting, in my opinion. On the other hand, there is the ownership experience, and yeah, I can't tell you from my own experience. I got this camera, by the way, from a good friend. He gave it to me for a couple of weeks so I can shoot several rolls of film through it, which is nice. And he got it from a reputable dealer with some warranty. But yeah, it can fail. It can be a nuisance. You have to shop around to find a good one. It's not the most reliable electronic camera ever made, and that's a bit the problem with Leica in general when it comes to electronics. Compared to Nikon or Pentax or something, they're maybe not just as reliable. They are low volume production electronic items, and that's always a little bit of a risk. Having said that, you have to budget in around 3,000 euros currently to get a good one from a dealer, plus or minus, depending on cosmetic condition and whatnot. I wouldn't recommend to get only an M7. I would rather recommend to get an M6 and an M7 if you can afford it. So you got the mechanical, reliable camera, which is also the ultimate Leica classic. And then this, and I'm sure most of you guys will love shooting the M7. So my verdict is, it is recommended, but watch before you buy. That's it for today. I hope you found this interesting, maybe even useful. If you did so, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet. Also hit the small bell button, of course, for your notifications. If you've got any questions or comments, if you own a Leica M7 or an M6 or both of them, tell me about your experience. I'm super eager to find out about it. Write something in the comment section below. You know I love to read all your comments. I will happily answer every single one of them. So, have a great time, live long and prosper, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.